What is the greatest comeback to an insult you've ever heard? My grandparents used to bicker. My grandmother generally came out on top, as she was fierier. One time though, she was asking him to do a bunch of stuff, and he muttered, "If you'd lose some weight, you could do it yourself." She fixed her gaze on him, and glowered, "I'm thinking of getting rid of about 200 pounds of useless fat immediately." He replied, "You're going to cut off your foot?" Someone yelled out in a Walmart, "I'm not ashamed of who I am." Another voice echoed back, "That's your parents' job." Saw a clip of a stand-up comedian the other day, and he says something along the lines of, "The first time I had sex it was terrible. The first time I had sex." And a woman chimes in with, "You mean yesterday?" Crowd laughs for a while, and while the comedian is waiting for them to calm down you can see the gears turn in his head. Once it gets down to basically a few chuckles, he just says, "Glad you remember," and the crowd just lost their shit. It was amazing. Okay, now we need the source of this clip.
This is how bad I was at sex the first time. The first time I ever had sex. Yesterday? Glad you remember.
I asked my mother why she always wears makeup despite being in her 40s. She told me she wears makeup so she doesn't look like me. A guy makes fun of his bald friend by rubbing his head and saying, "Wow, your head is as smooth as my wife's bottom." The friend also rubs his head and says, "Wow, you're right." Quiet guy in my art class got called queer bait. He replied with, "If I'm the bait then you're the catch of the day." My 10-year-old cousin was pushed aside by an older student at school who also felt the need to call him a gay child. My cousin told him not to get his hopes up. One of my coworkers was cold calling customers, trying to get appointments to drum up business. One of them told him to go fuck his hand, and he responded with, "I've got that penciled in for 3. I should be done by 4 if you'd like to come in for an appointment then." The guy laughed his ass off, and ended up coming in for the appointment. I was the one insulted, but not the one with the comeback. I was out with a coworker and her friends, and my buddy and I were leaving a little too early for her sensibilities. She jokingly got up in my face and said, "Smell that? Smells like pussy." A guy playing at the pool table next to us stepped forward and said, "I'm sorry, that must be me, I just ate." It was amazing. My grandma asked my cousin, who'd had lots of partners and 2 kids at this point, if she was ever going to get married. "Cousin, it's not the same nowadays, we don't buy cars without test driving them first." Grandma, "Yeah, but they don't let you put 100,000 miles on them either." Point goes to Granny. A friend of mine was getting bitched at by these 2 identical twin girls in a class I had once. He replied with a troubling look on his face and said, "If you 2 are identical, how come only one of you are hot?" That dude played the long game as those 2 girls looked rather perplexed for the rest of the session. In high school, we congregated in our cliques around the benches. One friend is cracking his knuckles and did this fairly often. Another friend saw this and remarked, "You pop your hands a lot, you must jerk off a lot." The friend that popped his hands immediately looks at him and calmly says, "You pop your jaw a lot. You must suck dick a lot." Weirdly enough no one laughed, we just all shrugged and took it as a logical explanation. It's been over 20 years and I still think about the logic. In middle school, a boy asked when I was going to grow some boobs. So I asked him when he was donating his. I'm still really proud of that one. Edit, I didn't expect this to blow up. But I remember this clearly. He was walking out of English, I was walking in. We met at the doorway and were chest to chest. And he looks me in the eye and says, "Grow some tits." Without missing a beat I replied dead-faced, "Donate yours." Then proceed to proudly walk to my desk with a big smile. Context: John Oliver from HBO interviews Stephen Hawking, may he rest in peace. John Oliver, and there may be a universe where I am more intelligent than you? Stephen Hawking, there may even be a universe where you are funny. What is the greatest comeback to an insult you heard? Share it in the comments section.